Last video, I showed you how surplus income can quietly add hundreds of dollars a month onto a bankruptcy. This time, I'm going deeper. I'll walk you through a real side-by-side breakdown of what bankruptcy and a consumer proposal actually cost in a few different scenarios, so you can see exactly why this number decides whether your proposal gets approved. By the end, you'll understand exactly how your trustee builds your offer, and roughly how much of your debt tends to get forgiven in a typical proposal. I went through this process myself here in Alberta, and this is exactly the kind of comparison a good trustee should walk you through before you decide anything. Let's begin. We're going to look at 4 scenarios: bankruptcy with no surplus income, bankruptcy with surplus income, a repeat bankruptcy, and a consumer proposal, using consistent numbers throughout so you can compare them side by side. Before your trustee sends your proposal to your creditors, they do one specific calculation first. They work out what your creditors would realistically get if you went bankrupt instead. Then they build your proposal to offer your creditors at least that much, and usually a bit more, because a proposal pays out slowly over time, so creditors generally want a little extra in exchange for waiting. Let's start with scenario 1, bankruptcy, with no surplus income. If your income is under the threshold, your bankruptcy typically lasts 9 months, and you don't owe your creditors anything directly. You do still pay something, though, around $200 a month to your trustee for handling your case. That's roughly $1,800 total over the course of 9 months. But that money goes to the trustee, not your creditors. In this scenario, your creditors get nothing, and the rest of your debt is simply wiped clean. Now let's put you in a more common situation. Say this is your first time filing, you have surplus income, and you're trying to decide between bankruptcy and a consumer proposal. Here's exactly what each path means for you and for your creditors. If you went bankrupt with a take-home income of $3,000 a month, and the threshold for a single person is around $2,716, that leaves a monthly surplus of $284. Because that's above the $200 minimum, your bankruptcy runs the full 21 months and you'd pay 50% of that surplus, which is $142 a month. And that goes straight to your creditors. Over 21 months, that's $2,982 total going to them. Now, if you chose a consumer proposal instead, say you owe $20,000 total and your trustee proposes forgiving 60% of it, just as a hypothetical number to show you the math. You'd repay the remaining $8,000 spread over 60 months. That works out to about $133 a month. So here's the direct comparison. With bankruptcy, your creditors receive $2,982 total. With the consumer proposal, they receive $8,000 total, even though your monthly payment is actually lower. That's exactly why your creditors would most likely vote yes on the proposal. They're getting more money overall, even if it takes longer to get there, and a longer, bigger payout usually beats a shorter, smaller one from their side of the table. Now, another quick scenario worth knowing. What if this isn't your first time going bankrupt? If you've been bankrupt before, the timelines stretch out for your succeeding ones. Bankruptcy with no surplus income becomes 24 months instead of 9. With surplus income becomes 36 months, a full 3 years instead of 21. Going bankrupt a second time doesn't just feel worse, it actually takes longer too. Now, why does that difference matter so much to your creditors? Think of it like being owed money by a friend. Would you rather they promise to pay you a little bit every single month like clockwork so you know exactly when your money's coming? Or would you rather wait around hoping they pay you back whenever they happen to have extra? Most people would pick the steady option, even if it takes a bit longer to get it all. Creditors think the same way. A consumer proposal is that steady, predictable choice for them, which is a big part of why it tends to get approved. So what happens if your trustee's first offer isn't good enough? Say, hypothetically, your trustee offered to forgive 90% instead of 60%. That means offering to pay back only $2,000 total, which is actually less than what your creditors would get through the surplus income part of bankruptcy. In that case, your creditors would likely say no. But here's the good part. Your trustee doesn't just give up and leave it there. They'll come back with a better offer, closer to what we already worked out, before it's ever sent to your creditors. Finding a number that actually works for both sides is literally their job. So how much does this typically mean you'd pay back in real life? Generally, most consumer proposals settle somewhere between 20 and 50% of your total debt, meaning, in many cases, 50 to 80% of your original debt ends up forgiven. Every situation is different, though. It depends on your income, the assets you own, and what your specific creditors are willing to accept. So to recap, if you have no surplus income in bankruptcy, your creditors typically get nothing, and you still pay the trustee a set fee. If you do have surplus income, that same 50% rule from last video sends real money to your creditors, not just the trustee. And a consumer proposal, built correctly, is designed to offer your creditors more than either bankruptcy path, which is exactly what makes it more likely to get approved. That's how surplus income shapes your offer. In the next video, I'm going to break down the real difference between hiring a debt consultant and going straight to a licensed insolvency trustee, and why that choice can cost you thousands. Before I let you go, I'd like to let you know that I built a free 15-question readiness audit. The link's in the description. It takes about 5 minutes and could help you decide whether you're ready for a consumer proposal or not. As always, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.